it is time for our topic of discussion, and thank you for sticking around with us if you've just been with us from the start. And for all of you who have joined in, thank you very much. This is Smart Means Business. Now, our topic of discussion today is looking at how business and logistics are moving across the borders of Uganda, or in general, looking at cross-border business for the traders mainly here in Uganda, and how they are faring away from this country as well, because we've got a lot of Ugandans who are trading their plight away from Uganda, pretty much across the East African Community bloc, South Sudan, Kenya, Tanzania, and the other neighboring countries. But how is business moving on for them? And joining me, I do have Jemba Mlondo, who is coming in from who's coming in from Kasita, Uganda. And he's definitely going to be taking us through this particular one. Kasita is the Kampala City Traders Association. So this is an association that brings together all traders in Uganda, the traders mainly in Kampala. And definitely quite a number of those members take part in not only local business, but also business away from Uganda. And many thanks for joining us. May you please say hello to the viewers.
Good morning, viewers. My name is Jemba Mlondo, Deputy Spokesperson, Kasita, Uganda.
Okay. So from that perspective of Kasita, I would want to at least know, how has business been for Uganda's traders, mainly those in Kampala? For example, when you look at the fact that this year is when our economy was fully reopened, how have the traders been faring?
I wouldn't say that business has been really faring well. Okay. But you can say it has been faring relatively fair, especially with in the back of our mind, knowing that we had just opened business after the two lockdowns which were forced by government in order to control the outbreak and the spread of COVID-19. However, all that notwithstanding, we should appreciate the role of the general business fraternity and what it plays when it comes to economic development and growth of any country. We have witnessed slow business resumption since the reopening of the economies across the globe, especially with more restrictions still being in place in places like China, where you have, and these are the key sources of business that we majorly deal in. On arrival in China, if you can get access to the visa, which is still highly restricted, you are supposed to quarantine for a minimum of 10 days, which means something like $1,500, which has to be spent during that lockdown. Okay. Sorry, during that quarantine. Okay. So in this regard, a number of key players and upcoming business people have been making orders online without necessarily traveling to China, which is, in one way or another a step forward, moving away from the orthodox way of doing business, traveling to China, booking a ticket and all that. At least with the challenges in place, Ugandans are getting at least that extra saving. A ticket for now has been going between 3,000 and 3,500 US dollars for return ticket to China. And if you add that with other add-on, which is transportation, feeding, and as well as accommodation, without forgetting that you're supposed to quarantine for more than 10 days, 10 to 14 days in China, or that can add up an extra 3,000, if not 5,000 US dollars. So, to me, Ugandans have been saving, and it has been a learning curve for many of us. You don't need to travel, you can always make orders online and save that much, over 5,000, not less than 5,000 US dollars instead of traveling. We are trying to see a revamp.
Okay.
More especially as we approach the peak season. This is from now, this is August to December, early January.
Okay.
But all that notwithstanding, we shouldn't forget that children are going back to school. And they normally really dig deep. We have to dig deep when children are going back to school. If you try to move around Nassau Road and the other areas, you wouldn't believe that we are about to return the children to school, because the business is really, really down. Secondly, the charge, the fares or the prices are really unbelievable or unacceptable.
Okay.
Unacceptable would be the best word. And all reasons point in one direction. We have seen a rise in the fuel prices. We have seen the rise in dollar, the exchange rate of the dollar. All this affect the economy very badly. Whenever you see fuel prices shooting up, that implies the economy is going to experience a downtrend, because if there isn't much, then you shouldn't expect the economy to be growing. The economy goes down.
As you're mentioning of fuel, that brings me to the issue of fuel prices and how traders have definitely been affected by this one. How did it affect these traders? Because at the time we got to realize there was a time there were goods stuck at the border at the start of it all because of issues to do with COVID and then issues to do with a lot of border crisis. How did this affect the traders?
Well, definitely it has to impact negatively. Whenever there is a slow movement of cargo, that the implication is there is no business in town. You are paying rent, but you don't have much to sell.
Okay.
What you have is I wouldn't like to say dead stock, but at least I would refer to it as overstayed stock. Stock which has lasted more than the time we would have wished it to be in your business. This is culminated by restrictions at the border entry points, where Congolese and others, when entering, or when we are going out of the country, entering other countries, you are supposed to test for COVID. If you didn't test earlier, you are supposed to be checked in several times. They have to authenticate whether the certificate you are carrying or the results you are carrying are genuine or that. So this kind of restriction is affect, just like fuel prices, they affect movement of people. And these are where we rely most from foreign buyers. With the little movement of people buying into our businesses or buying items from Uganda, then we don't have much liquidity. Not only in circulation, but individually as businesses, we don't have much liquidity. And this really controls the economic direction of individuals up to the macro and micro and macro, at macro level, as well as government. So we have generally been experiencing a downward trend when it comes to economic performance from all levels, because the micro lead into the smaller and the other macro arrangement of the economy. Then when we all join forces, we make the economic performance of the countries be seen in either in the negative or the positive direction.
All right. Now, also, as we are moving in steadily, we've seen Kasita moving on together with some of the investment partners that Uganda has been having lately.
Yes.
How is this going to impact on Uganda's trade? Because at this moment in time, we've apparently got to realize that the government is now getting into summits. There was one in South Sudan, there was one of Turkey, then recently the one of Somalia. How is this going to help us? Because we are now looking into post-COVID recovery as Uganda.
Yeah, that is one of the best directions this country has ever taken. And
Okay.
it's a positive development which needs to be taken advantage of.
Okay.
I would like to applaud the government and the MDS under the government for that positivity. And I would like to encourage Ugandans, whoever has anything to sell, whoever is looking for where to sell or what to sell, this is the opportunity we have. Try to find out what is lacking in DR Congo. But one thing that is common across the ESC and Africa in general is food.
Okay.
It's a key component, a key economic component, which if we take an advantage of, you can never go wrong. Everyone we have seen a rise in the population, not only here locally, but all other countries. At least there is, if there has been anything that has been growing, then it's the population. Across, at least be it in points, 0.1, but there has been economic growth, population growth everywhere.
Okay.
And whenever we see the growth of the population, we must understand that that is where economics lies. Each and everyone needs something to eat. Whether you are working or unemployed, you are supposed to get something, at least to feed on. So by implication, we the economic players, we should always put our strength in where the biggest advantage lies, and that is food. With the food stuff, Nigerian is needed, Kenyan is needed, South Sudan people need it, Tanzanian is needed, Rwanda is needed, DR Congo, over 100 million people in DR Congo. And if you try to find out how much they are involved in agriculture, you realize that they need you more than of course, we all need each other, but DR Congo needs Ugandans more than ever. If we can try to find out exactly the kind of items that are on market in DR Congo,
Okay.
then this is the area where we should capitalize. Food stuff, maize, rice, anything to do with food, eggs, beef, especially fish. The DR Congo people are very much interested in fish, fresh or smoked or sub-smoked or can sell. A kilo of beef in DR Congo goes to an equivalent of 60,000 Uganda shillings.
60,000.
Yes.
1 kilogram.
1 kilogram of beef.
Okay.
So if we can really make arrangements, have collaborations between ourselves, partner, and consistently supply as agreed by the big players in the supermarkets and other butcher in DR Congo, we can make a very big killing depending on how we go about our business with the DR Congo. One thing that I would like to warn Ugandans, we are a bit shielded in a negative way.
Okay.
We should try to avoid when dealing with other partner citizens of other countries. We all need each other. You might end up either losing your life or losing everything that you have invested in another country if you try to be more smarter than others. We should try to be as fair players as possible when it comes to business. Things are changing a lot. you can easily be identified from anywhere by using your ID, by using your TIN number. You can easily be tracked down. So the least we play hard and try to play fair, the better we are going out to achieve our goals across the ESC.
All right. Now, as we're summing up with our first part of our discussion, greatly looking at how cross-border business has been and how business has been in Uganda. There's something about the issue to do with textile taxes on textiles, on imported textiles rather. How did it end with the government? How were the discussions, and do we expect that this time around it will be shaping those dealing in the textiles?
Not much. Still, the taxes are high, 35%, which has been applied of recent. After we sat down with the government and tried to show them the negative impact of taxes charged in dollars and charged in dollars and kilograms. We appreciate and are proud of them for having accepted and listened to our cause, heeded our advice to withdraw from charging the $3.5 and the $3 per kilogram of textiles and other garments, and agreed to instead reinstate the 35% tax regime, which is the fourth band as introduced by the ESC, common external tariff, for the common external tariff of the ESC region. However, we shouldn't forget that compared to other countries, globally, ours is among the worst 10 tax regimes in the world.
Okay.
If we take the example of our regional players or regional partners, Kenya. Kenya, they have a package of not more than 49% in all taxes that are payable for imported items. And while Uganda, we are having 54 to 58%. And for other instances, you can even go as far as 65% in taxes. So if every 100 shillings that I invest, I need to pay 65, between the 54 and the 65% in taxes, with all the other underlying costs, rent, power, parking, fuel, other utility areas, toilet, and everything. Then Ugandans don't save, cannot be able to save something beyond the 3%.
Okay.
Because if you compare 54 to 49 in Kenya and around 51 in Tanzania, and other
ours is worse.
Ours is worse.
Okay.
So all this needs to be addressed. We don't need the 35%. Can we reinstate the 25 as originally agreed during the protocols around 200, around 2000?
Okay.
Yes. I think that would be the best for these economies to perform favorably within the African Continental Free Trade Area. Unlike we try to address that, that will become an NTB, non-tariff barrier of some sort, if nothing is done to address it as early as possible.
Okay. Yeah. And right now, for the viewers out there, we were first of all looking at how business has been moving on for the traders here in Uganda. But when we do return after the break, I'm still with my guests. We're going to be discussing how the Kenyan elections impacted the trader community in Uganda, most especially those who deal in a cross-border business. So we will be looking at it in that way, and also generally looking at logistics and those traders who use the Northern Corridor, which is Kenya's Mombasa port. Stick around, we'll be right back.